Good morning, Pioneers. My name is Sarah Manette, and welcome to our first ever Coach exclusive interview with boys wrestling coach Tressler. Thanks for coming, Coach.
Thank you for having me.
Let's get into it. Are you better on the mat or in the kitchen?
I would probably say I'm better in the kitchen. I think I can bake, I can cook, I can grill, I can smoke food. But I would say after my most recent foot surgery, my wrestling skills have started to diminish a little bit. And especially since I think the way the wrestling team has evolved over the last couple of years. But yes, I still love to wrestle, and I still obviously love to cook as well.
Okay. What's your favorite thing to cook or bake?
Oh man, favorite thing to cook or bake. So I'm a stress baker and stress cooker. So with wrestling season coming up, I do lots of cookies. I do pizza a lot. I will do wings. I smoke brisket, ribs. Lots of healthy things in there. My wife makes me make a lot of chicken, salmon, and fish as well. So those are usually in the array of what I usually like to make.
Okay, would you say you make dinner or would you say your wife makes dinner?
I make dinner 99.9% of the time. However, my wife has a homemade stromboli that she makes, which is delicious. She holds hostage most of the year. And she also has homemade sugar cookies that she makes around the holiday season. So those are always something that's a nice follow-up to at this time of year.
Okay, next question. How do you like living in the Olentangy area? I know you used to live in Upper Arlington, so.
Believe it or not, it's actually been something that's been great for my kids. When I first got the job here, my wife and I, had lived in Upper Arlington for 15 years. And when I first got the job here, seeing how everybody was, you kind of think at first that it's just like it's artificial and it's fake. And the thing is over the now 11 years that I've been here teaching here and coaching here, and then seeing how genuine people are, you appreciate those things. And so when we move to Olentangy, I always tell people, I tell the neighbors that we now live by, we lived in Upper Arlington for 15 years and no one ever said hi. No one ever came over, introduced themselves, nothing. And in the time that we've been here, all of our neighbors have stopped by, matter of fact, last night, our neighbors came over and brought crumble cookies to my kids. And it was just nice gestures to make you feel welcome. And it's something that I can't explain unless you have been on both sides of it, how much you appreciate it for your family that, my kids feel welcome. They are having a wonderful experience at their new elementary school. And it's just, as a parent, you want to be reassured that you're trying to do the right thing, and that's been the best thing so far for my kids.
I'm happy that you like living here. Let's just change the direction a little bit. What was it like helping grow the girls wrestling program at the start of it?
It was awesome. It was absolutely an awesome experience. One of the things was that when Coach Nicole and I talked through it, the thing I always explained to everybody is when I talk to other coaches around the state, they're just like, well, how are you guys able to have this success? And it's like, we wouldn't have it without Coach Nicola, because it's just like we were literally able to have somebody in the building that was, as the coach of the program at the time, there was no way I could split time between both the guys and the girls, but we had somebody who obviously is an exceptional head coach before, and we had, Coach Oswald, who was coming up as well, who wanted to join our staff. And so we were very lucky to have people who were willing to put the time in to do that. The other part is you had, Coach Nicole and I played with, at the time, brand new athletic director, Brett Deal. We kind of played good cop, bad cop, or sometimes just bad cop on Mr. Deal, trying to get the district to pay for girls wrestling and things like this. And we understood their policy, but the thing is we were trying to expand this. And I think that now girls wrestling is starting to see the fruits of our labor, which is what we thought. By starting fast, by being the first ones in the state of Ohio to not just have a girls team, but really create equality amongst the boys and the girls team, that we were able to set ourselves ahead of everybody else. And that's just, I feel lucky to be a part of that, and I got to serve some small purpose in that. And like I said, I'm just lucky that I was able to, have Coach Nicole, and he and I were able to bounce ideas off each other in those first couple of years.
That's good. We're going to go a little lighter. We're not going to go as in depth first. How are you just feeling about this upcoming season so far?
I feel really good. I think that we have a good nucleus of wrestlers. I think that one of the biggest things that we'll be working on for all of our varsity wrestlers is mat management. I think our skill, strength, explosion is all there. I think that one of the things that separates good from great is people who understand how to manage a match, people who can stay organized in the match and not emotionally get taken one way or the other as far as the match goes. And I think if we do that, I think we'll be, it should be an exciting season for us. Okay.
So for this season, who do you think is in the way to qualify for state, place at state, do well this year?
So I would say if I'm looking objectively at our team, I go from our upperclassmen. Tyler Delarocco, he's a returning district qualifier. You have seniors like Ryan Phillips, Mason Hayes. You also have sophomore Peyton Ogles. You have Chase Martin, who will be dropping to 190 pounds. You have senior Luke Reitelbach. You have junior Lincoln Gaylor. Those would be the ones right off the top of my head that I'm thinking of as well. But we also have some really good guys that are coming in that have had experience. But that group would be the first group that I think that would have that first initial cut. But again, that does not mean that the other guys will not have that same success either as well.
Okay. How do you define success? Is it more about the wins, development, or the team culture?
We're in the sports business. I think wins and losses is important. But I also think we're in the people business, and the process is the most important thing. We have the privilege to play a small part in your growth as human beings. And I think that being and having the opportunity to help you grow as people is more important. Yes, would we love you to have 14 state champs up and down the line? Absolutely. But I'd much rather have 40 great human beings who grow and evolve as people and are good people. You would like to have it both, but I think that's the biggest thing, is having that process of being able to help them grow to be, and in this case, young men who are respectful, who help their community out, and who are great on the wrestling mat, but also in the classroom as well.
How do you build confidence in wrestlers throughout the season?
It's a balance. I think that a lot of times as teenagers, we see the results, and that is the only part of it. We assume that if we win, we did well, and if we lose, we did poorly. But it's trying to get the guys to see the whole process of whether that be how they have changed body-wise, how they have changed physically, strength, how they have changed the way they wrestle. Each one of those things builds levels and confidence in themselves. And it takes a lot to build confidence, and it doesn't take a lot to have it shaken in a sport like wrestling, because it is a combat sport, and I think it's hard for people. But that's, you have to slowly build those things up where they can believe in what they do well and that the process is helping them improve.
What's the typical structure of your practice going to look like?
So we basically separate our groups into 3 groups. We have our varsity group. These are wrestlers who have met both the strength standard and the wrestling standard. That means that they generally have enough wrestling experience and strength that they can handle most things that we're going to throw at them. We have our B group, which is normally like our JVA wrestlers, and those are wrestlers who have either who have met the strength or the wrestling standard, but not both. And then we have our C wrestlers. These are new wrestlers, new to the sport, and we're trying to teach them basics. And from that, each group of coaches has a responsibility of what we're teaching them that day. And normally it's from the top down of what we're teaching. The varsity guys will get a little more sophisticated and a little more in depth. The JV will be a little less, and then the new guys will have the most basic versions of this as well. And that way, they're all teaching it. It's vertical alignment from the bottom up.
Okay. I know that as soon as you graduated high school, you went pretty much straight into coaching. How did you go into coaching right away? What was the process?
So I was a much better football player than a wrestler. I had opportunities to play football in college, and I didn't. I chose to stay home, and because I made choices as an 18-year-old. But those things also helped me grow. My former football coach and wrestling coach had asked me to come back and help at the junior high level, and I started, 18, 19 years old, helping out. And, as most of us go through in college, I was going through that process of trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I thought I wanted to be a chef and own my own restaurant. But I was coaching football, I was coaching wrestling, I was driving kids all over the place for open tournaments and things like that. And then as I got the opportunity to be the head coach at the junior high, I started to appreciate more the time that I was spending with these kids. And really, I was talking to my parents. I was like, "Oh yeah, I like this. We're doing tutoring sessions. We're doing this." And my dad's like, "Well, have you ever thought about teaching?" And I'm like, "No." I mean, I'm at that time 19, 20 years old, thinking that I'm too cool for school. And he's like, "Scott, what you're doing is teaching." I was like, and I just couldn't at that time. I didn't think about it that way. I just thought I was just coaching. And then when I started to look at it that way and seeing that you get to play a part, and then seeing these kids later on, that you had an influence on them, it was something that I really latched onto and really wanted to continue to be a part of.
Okay. How has your coaching style changed since 19 to now 44?
Well, I think obviously we always joke it's fire and brimstone when you're young. You want everyone to be state champs, but I think the other part is I think you make the connections with people. I would say the things that changed for me, one is becoming a head coach. You can't, as an assistant coach, you can kind of shoot from the hip. You can kind of say things because you're the assistant, and that's part of this. But when you're the head coach, I think that you have to have a whole program philosophy. You have to be more thoughtful in your decision making. And as you get older, I think the one thing that changed for me more than anything else was having children. When I had kids, all of a sudden you are more empathetic, you're more understanding, you soften. It's just that simple. But you also understand what the expectations are. And then it's also the other side of it too. People are like, "Oh, well, you're not as hard anymore." You're not, but you are. Because the thing is you are taking time away from your kids and your family, and you're not doing it for participation. You're doing it to win. And so you want those kids to understand the sacrifices that you're making to be a part of that as well. And so I think that's been the major thing, is that changeover from having kids, and also coming here to Orange. When I was at Indian Lake, it was like, the K-12, it was 3 buildings. It was super small, and I was running the program there. But then you come here to Orange with a district at the time, 4 high schools, soon to be 5, and you have the whole philosophy. It's a challenge, and I think that that was a major portion of it as well.
I know you used to coach at Indian Lake, right?
Yep.
What are like the notices, or like what do you notice that changed between the athletes from here to here?
I think there's a mentality, and I think that we've been trying to create that mentality. Kids from rural settings have a tendency to be a little, I don't want to use the word tougher, but they're more willing to accept a fight. And younger wrestlers would be willing to go into a varsity match and then take that opportunity. Here, our kids, they can wrestle that way, but they really need to be eased into it. They need to be, a little bit at a time. They need to have success. They can't just deal with the full allotment of a varsity schedule. And I've had to figure that out the hard way, quite frankly, over the last 11 years, thinking that all kids I could just throw them in, and they would be fine. But you make adjustments, you make changes. And I think that's a major part of it too, is seeing those changes. Also, having younger coaches helps too. Kids who have been through the program too.
Okay. To end it off a little lighter, what is the significance of your Penn State windbreaker with the rip sleeve?
So, the Tressler family is from State College. We love Penn State. Good or bad, football and wrestling. So we suffer from the highs and lows, and currently this year, especially in football, it's a lot of lows. So it used to be a gray windbreaker, and then that one ripped and shredded within the first 4 to 5 years, and then those guys used to get on me, and so then it became the blue and white one. Now I'm on the blue and white one, and I haven't progressed into the next phase of the next windbreaker, which I'm sure I should, because there's now holes in it, which I just think that just allows for a little bit of aerodynamics in it as well. So it's I think it's fashionable. So I mean, it's comfortable.
Okay. Thank you for coming today, Coach. Thanks all for today, Pioneers. Make sure to turn into WPLP The Pulp. My name is Sarah Manette, and remember to stay juicy, Pioneers.